So good. Man, it's good. Good game, good soundtrack. So good. And the audio is baked into the gameplay too. It's fantastic. It's very nice. This track here, so Jeff, my co-founder, and we just bought the vinyl today. It's being shipped soon. So I haven't bought it on Bandcamp. I should also, but like this track here. Yeah, there we go. See? No thanks. I did buy it. I promise. There's it's like this mushroom environment, and in the track there's like a choir that sings occasionally, and the background mushrooms, foreground mushrooms, like sing along with the choir part in the track. It's very cool. Very cool. It's the kind of thing you don't have to do as a game developer. You don't have to do it at all. But cool when you do. Oh yeah, rough on compression? I suppose so, eh? Well. Oh well. Oh well. I will wear flat single-colored shirts from now on. James. It is James, right? I said James, and I was unsure of the names that came out of my mouth. James Neves? Neves? I don't know, we're not sure. We're not quite sure. Man, this soundtrack's so good. Fantastic. Yeah, A+. The game, if you don't know it, it got a bunch of like 10 out of 10s and stuff across the board. People liked it. Rightly so. So good. I began playing it on my Hawaii trip back in May, finally, and then just got home and got back to work and just forgot about my playthrough, and then got back to it finally just now. And got through it, and oh man. Highly recommend. Pick it up today, right now. Okay, well, the Goblin Cave Studios. I have some other game audio stuff open also, just in case. I guess I can sidechain this thing now, right? There we go, sidechain. Like Neve? I'm still not sure how to say N-E-V-E. It's not a real word. Neve? Like Neve, but with an S. Is it a voiced S? Neves or Neves? So good. Neves. I'm going with Neves. Like Keanu? Like rhymes with Keanu? Let's go with that. Hi everyone. Welcome on in again. I got a few of these open. I saw there was an update since last week. Someone posted some stuff 3 days ago. Numbox. There you go. Dale GR, or Delager. I don't think you clarified last time either. Neves. Okay, perfect. Got it. Thank you. Settings Con. Good to see you again. Welcome on everyone. If it is your first time watching Real Talk, we're having a look at, today, the Goblin Cave Studios. Every Thursday this time, we're looking at demo reel content, website content, portfolios from up-and-comers in the game audio industry. Folks who might be brand new, out of school, they might be transitioning out of a different industry, or from like audio post into game audio. They may have been doing it for a while, but just want to get some more traction. And we are here to offer our humble opinion, which is by no means the gospel, but having been through many streams to date, previously with Matthew Martinson of Clay Entertainment and other guest hosts from around the industry, we've seen probably, oh man, I mean, we're probably pushing 200 reels at this point. I'd probably guess like 180-ish at this point. And there are a lot of very common mistakes that are made again and again. So while we are not the gospel, I can certainly offer something of an informed opinion when viewed through a lens of this site being part of many sites, right? And also worth mentioning, I guess I can zoom this in, seems we are not zoomed yet for the stream. That's a little better, maybe even a bit more. How about that? For the sake of this stream, I haven't looked at James's page. That's the Goblin Cave Studios, James Neves, in the chat right now. I have not looked at this page in any kind of depth prior to just now. The entire goal of this stream is to kind of best emulate what a first impression might resemble when we're talking about a prospective client or employer stumbling upon your content, either through, through a Google search, which is very uncommon, but usually through getting a card in person or an email, something like that. So, we're going to be talking about a few things here, which I'll put down below. There you go. We're looking at presentation, material selection, content quality, and distinction. For presentation, that is the site on the whole. And although we are not a website, like a web design review stream, I will definitely give my, my layman's opinions, at least. And beyond that, we're looking at the presentation of the reel itself, which is not apparent. It's not on the front page. So, right away, it's a bit of a... You're losing grip on what I'm going to do next, James, but we'll see. When we find the reel, I assume it exists. When we find the portfolio or the reel, we'll have a look at that and look at the content therein and how it's presented in terms of flow and titling and info and bookends. Don't tell me where it is, James. I'm blocking the chat with my hand. I can't see it. Tell me nothing. Yeah, so we're going to look at the whole thing in terms of just keeping in mind that people who are looking to hire often have limited time because they're hiring because they need help, which means they are busy. So depending where you're trying to get hired, I mean, you might have hundreds of people you're up against, literally. So it's important to use those precious seconds very wisely. Next up, we got material selection. That's talking about what content's in the reel and on your site in the portfolio, the various things mentioned there, and what that might suggest. Just the nature of what material it is, what you selected to show your best foot forward, what that might suggest about your past work history, your current skill sets, and your future ambitions. You know what kind of jobs you might want to be landing, right? And for content quality, simply, is it good? There exists an ever-changing industry standard of awesome, and you're trying to hit that standard at all times. And if it's not quite there in some regard, I will give you my humble opinion on what you could perhaps focus on to level up your content, level up your work. And distinction is the last one. Are you standing out in some respect? Because even if you don't get hired this time around, it's important to be memorable in some way because you might be recommended for a different job. That person might, have a friend who's looking for work, and though you didn't quite get the gig, maybe you were awesome. You just didn't quite squeak by, that's all. Or perhaps the next time you apply again, next time there's a job posting, maybe they'll be like, oh yeah, that person. Sweet. I'll see how they've progressed since last time, So, again, we're going in blind, so I have not really seen this page before, apart from having just done a quick save. What's up, Kabir? How are you? Audio Birdie. Good to see you. And it is Dale. It's Dale. GR is for my second name. Got it, Dale. Perfect, thank you. Samuel Mackey. What up, pal? Thank you for the kind message you sent my way earlier on. And Luke. Luke Nemitz, is that right? A bit of a memory work every week, I feel like. Rainbow Dragon Eyes. I know I did buy it. I bought it on vinyl. I promise. Yeah, Rainbow Dragon Eyes. I put the link in the chat. I'll put that there again just in case anyone missed it. It's freaking awesome. So good. Go buy the album. It's very good. And the game. Support the developers. They're in Quebec. They're great. Okay. Here we are. The Goblin Cave Studios.com, if you're curious to follow along at home. We have... This is a single page. There you go. That's it. And we have... The Goblin Cave Studios. Record, edit, mix, deliver. And a testimonial is first up from Malila. No, I can't. I'm not going to try. I can't do this name. I don't know this name, though. Perhaps there's someone famous I'm unaware of. The Goblin Cave Studios is a pleasure to work with. They are punctual, reliable, and most importantly, full of great ideas. They handle work pressure and stress very well. And that's one of the main reasons I enjoyed working with them on my first film, Our Garden Was Green. And hope we work together on more projects. Film. Okay, so you're coming from film stuff, I guess? All right. Kabir, you doing good? Awesome. Looking forward to seeing what's in the Goblin Cave. Yeah, likewise. Let's do it. Glad we're doing this together. Okay, I guess we'll just do a quick browse. We got a Twitter link that works. We've got an IMDb link that works. James Neves. Lots of film stuff. Nice. For a long time. Since, well, I guess a few years now. 5 years. Cool. All right. And you're in Vancouver. How did I not know that? Really? Okay. We should get a beer sometime. You're in town. It's not often that happens. We'll learn here. Let's go. So, founded by sound designer and re-recording mixer James Neves, the Goblin Cave Studios offers complete post-sound solutions. Originally from Halifax, Nova Scotia, that's what the NS is, by the way, James started his career in live sound, mixing concerts and live theater productions. He later moved to Vancouver to take the sound design for a visual media course at VFS. Ah, nice. You and many others. I've heard good things. Actually, my co-founder, Jeff Tangsock, went to VFS also. Since graduating, he has worked for a wide variety of clients, including DHX Media, as have I, Mattel Creations, Air Bud Entertainment, yeah, Hallmark, and Lionsgate. So a lot of film stuff seems. I mean, DHX could be, I did 3 games at my old job. Yeah, we did like some tower defense thing. Experience working on films for major clients has shaped the way that James approaches sound design. He is fully capable of handling all the sound needs for any scope of project. As the sound supervisor, he takes pride in his ability to work collaboratively to deliver soundtracks in line with your project's apostrophe creative vision. Great. I like this brief kind of, here's where I'm from, and I'm in Vancouver, did some live sound mixing, concerts, live theater, it's cool. And here's what I've done. Good. Cool. Easy enough. So far, I mean, we'll see what you're looking to get into if you're looking to get more game stuff, because this says nothing about games, but we'll see if that's even something you want to be interested in. We have had the occasional post-production person on stream where they're like, yeah, I want to be in film. I'm happy in film. We're like, all right, well, it's not like a perfect fit for Real Talk, but I'm certainly happy to offer my opinion. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Let's carry on through just left to right we'll go, I guess. We'll get back to general presentation in a second, but we'll go left to right for the time being. So select credits. Rev and Roll. DHX Media. Sound Effects Editor. Blaze and the Monster Machines. Great. Foley Editor. Mega Man. Fully charged. Okay. Oh, whoa. Let's hear what that sounds like. Perfect. Barbie Video Game Hero. Oh, I've seen that on was that on Netflix? I saw it and I was like, what is this? Just had a glance. And then my recommendations were messed up for a while on Netflix. I think it was on Netflix, wasn't it? I feel like that's the same thing I'm thinking of. Shuttlecock! This is my friend Rona Rees. Cool. Yeah, Rona and Melanie? Is that right? Yeah, for Crazy Eights. This is Rona. Yeah, we've crossed paths here and there in the voice acting scene. Various things. Okay, great. So all film stuff from here on out looks like. So yeah, isn't it Video Game Hero? Isn't this about like becoming a game developer or something? Wasn't that was being championed as being like, oh cool, like girls don't need to just be like fashion icons and stay away from math. You know, like is that the thing? If so, cool. So moving on to portfolio. Here is the design reel. So I didn't know, I'll tell you right now, I did not know where to find the reel when I was on your homepage. I didn't know immediately. I mean, I'd probably go portfolio first, but I wasn't sure. It's a bit Again, we'll get to that. We'll get to that in a second. We'll carry on here. She gets sucked into a game, has to defeat a computer virus. Sweet. Okay, well. Portfolio, here it is. Oh, so the portfolio is the real. Interesting. Okay. Got it. And you link the portfolio page directly. Okay, cool. That's fine. Services. Recording. The Goblin Cave Studios is fully equipped to handle ADR, voiceover, and Foley recording. Our soundproofed recording booth combined with top-of-the-line microphones and preamplifiers will provide the quality you need to get your project started out right. Wonderful editing. An extensive sound library and state-of-the-art editing tools ensure that your film or video game. So there's the video game. There it is. Okay. So we're branching out. Has the best sound possible. Mixing. The Goblin Cave Studios. I love that it's the. I actually do like that a lot. It's like this third-person thing. The Goblin Cave Studios provides 5.1 surround sound stereo mix options. High-quality sound monitoring means that you can be confident that your project will sound great on any system, whether it's a full theatrical sound system or your television at home. Cool. All right, and we have the links again. Great editing tools. Oh, okay. Oh, this is like for other. This is for peers, I guess. Richard at FMON. What's up, Richard? Good to see you. There's a Barbie series where she becomes a game designer with Ken. My kid watched it for a while. Okay, that's what I was thinking of, I guess. I think there was like an actual like a in the box game designer Barbie or something, wasn't there? She had a laptop and stuff. I feel like I read an article at some point in the past, like a long time ago. Editing tools for your peers, I guess. The Goblin's Gears. Whoa, shouting at us. The Goblin's Gear is a line of productivity tools designed to speed up your audio editing workflow inside of Avid's Pro Tools DAW. Okay. Remove muted clips. I've actually never even heard of script to do that. I've been using Pro Tools for 10 years, and I didn't even know that was a thing. I've heard scripts in like Reaper and stuff. I've heard Reaper being trumpeted as being so versatile and such, and I've never even thought of doing something like that in Pro Tools. So I'm just I am uninformed, that's for sure. Not that I'm like actively looking for new ways to use Pro Tools. I feel like I'm just tolerating Pro Tools all the time. Remove muted clips. Design a search for muted clips. There's videos. Wow, that is. Oh, it's a link. Could you embed the video here instead? Is that an idea? Because this is just like the same image over and over again, and like I know where I'm. I'm on the gear page, you know. Like this is not giving me new information. It feels just extra whatever. Or extraneous was the word I was looking for. Remove muted clips. Here it is again. What's this go to? What's this? Whoa, it's an image. Okay. All right. I didn't expect that at all. I didn't know what I expected, but not that. Okay, let's go. I'm curious. Before the reel. Oh, I'm also at like 5% volume. Sorry, turn it up. Well, there's no sound. Oh, that's tragic, man. I might suggest you narrate this. Like I do have sound right now coming out of my machine, don't I? I didn't just lose everything. I'm doing a quick test. I'm nervous. Yep. Okay. Carry on. You lost me, man. I wish you had something here that was like, hey, here's how it works. I feel that asking someone to watch a 1 minute long video that's silent and glean information from it is perhaps a thing that someone might do if they were deeply interested in your product. But I think that if you're looking to sell stuff, presentation is pretty key, and this is not very engaging. But I'll do my best to watch what happens here. Okay. How many tracks? 11 tracks. When it just goes, you just take a lunch. Okay. Sure. Yeah, we're just like watching it happen now. I mean, this is kind of like I know how this story ends, you know? Okay, cool. Yeah, it works. Just proving it works, I guess, the whole thing. And we are done. Settings Con is loving it. Loving it. Okay, well, got it. Gather stripped clips, batch audio mixdown, multi-track strip silence. That's cool. Let's have a look at that one. Actually, I'm gonna control click instead so I can close it. But I think you might do well to add some kind of audio to it. Definitely. Multi-track strip silence. I mean, it's pretty. Oh, it has allows you to manually enter numerical values for threshold, duration, start pad, end pad. Okay, like for each track. Like I am genuinely interested in this. I wish you were here, like explaining to me how this thing works. Yeah, there it is. How many tracks? 11 again. Yep. Threshold. I mean, yeah, okay, sure. All right. Okay, well, moving on. See, it's just a weird thing when I see pages that have stuff like this alongside everything else. Like, this is definitely the odd man out in terms of who this page is aimed at so far. Because the thing is, everyone who would care about the previous, 5 pages wouldn't understand what this is even talking about. Like, they're not looking to use Pro Tools, But it's cool. I mean, I applaud you trying to get some more help out there, and making a buck or two. Contact. Are you interested in what the Goblin Cave Studios has to offer? Fill out the form below detailing key aspects of your project, and we will get back to you within 24 hours. That's a bold claim. If you do, then awesome. But this scares me. I would never guarantee that for our site. Great. Cool. Is this like your tagline, I guess? That's why it's there again? Record, edit, mix, deliver. Okay. It's kind of just kind of describes most audio crews, mind you. But let's have a look at the portfolio. I will say, yeah, if we land on your homepage, I mean, if I go to your Twitter, for example, I go, oh, cool, who's this? Goblin Cave James, got it. Retweeted some cool stream. Let's have a look at this website. Then I'm here, right? And then you lose hold on what people might do immediately because they can go anywhere. Whereas if you have just the video right here, first thing, it's kind of like, hey, here's why you're here, right? And then they have a look. So let's look at your portfolio, though. It is, mind you, likely that someone would probably click on portfolio first, but it's not guaranteed. And I'm a big fan of guaranteeing someone's first minute on my site, or at least accommodating for many different paths through the website. Let's have a look. Play 120, 119. Change his mind. Go full screen. Volume is not 5%, 100%. And sidechain off. We're fully prepared. Let's go. Just a personal observation. I totally lost interest around 26 seconds. But we'll keep watching the whole thing. I just I realized what had happened. I absentmindedly did this, and then I came back and I was like, oh, I should watch the reel. So just a heads up on that one. Moving on. That's fun. C'est tout? Yes. All right. Thanks, buddy. Some claps, please, for James getting up on stage. All right, the Goblin Cave Studios, James Neves, and the phone number. Cool. Okay, cool. So, just taking a step back here for a second, we'll talk about the flow of the reel and stuff in a second. But there is so now would be a good time for me to ask you, James. Like, do you want to get into games more than you are right now? Like, is that your motivation for coming on this stream in particular? Because I see you've got in your about or services. You had a video game or film or something, right? There it is. So this to my knowledge, because I don't know what that second thing was in your portfolio. Like, I don't know what that was, just due to the fact that it's not anywhere else in your page. I don't think is it in your credits. Part 2. No, it was a redesign. Yeah, of course. So it wouldn't be there. So I don't know if that was a game or if that was like a film piece. So if it was a game, then there is this and the other thing. I also don't know if, like, I don't know the DHX Media thing. I know that DHX does a lot of animation work in Vancouver. So it was maybe J Harvey 2000. What's up? Thank you for the heads up on the short film. Appreciate that. Good to see you, pal. So there you go. So short film on YouTube. Then that means that, to my knowledge, this right here is the only mention of video games on your page. Or my mistake, actually. I guess technically it says video game right here also. So, and I mean, Mega Man is like gamey also. But like, these aren't games, right? Are those film, like animation contents? Or is that like a cutscene in a game? I just don't know. Because the thing is, if you're looking to work in games, there is a bit of a challenge that comes along with transitioning from film post, or film or TV post, linear post into interactive audio work. Because, quite simply put, there are many people who want to get into games or want the games projects, right? And when you consider me as a potential employer, for example, let's say Power Up Audio was hiring for a sound designer position. If I saw this page, I would be like, oh, cool. They probably have some decent skills in terms of, I mean, obviously you know what's happening in Pro Tools and stuff, right, from your editing tools. Like, you know your way around DAWs. You've been working in sound for a few years. That's all positive. But the thing is, you aren't our only candidate, you know? So we're faced with, let's say, like 50 candidates, which is probably low, honestly, but we'll say 50. And of those 50, we'll say like 35 plus are probably focused in game sound. So they're sending us a reel that is like game content. And here's like an implementation reel breakdown. So they have like a 5-minute video that's like, oh, by the way, that 15-second clip in my reel, here is like a 5-minute video of me explaining the middleware implementation techniques I used. So that kind of stuff just sells to me like, oh, this person is heavily invested in games. And the thing is, I suspect you are too, because A, you're telling me you want to get into games, and B, you know this stream exists. So those are both positive things, but when you're applying to a gig, it's really important to convey that very plainly to the people you're applying to, because in the end, when you're applying for a job, you're basically trying to at the root of that sale of you like selling yourself. At the root of it is you saying, I am low risk. I am the least risk of all your candidates. Like, I will bring the most to the table. I'm the least risk of messing things up. So with this, there is unfortunately just risk associated with the idea of hiring you, because you've shown a lot of film work. So it's like, oh, cool, they're probably pretty good, but I have no idea what you have in terms of like interactive sensibilities. So if you, I mean, the fact is linear media and interactive media, they do have some core principles they share. Obviously, it's all sound, but there's a lot of very very different approaches and problems to solve that come along with moving from a linear media into interactive media, and that goes for any discipline. That goes for visuals and for lighting and for writing. And I mean, I know that there's stories of like a writer being like, oh cool, and then the player walks down the hall, and then the writer came from film, and the person says to the writer, oh, what happens if they don't? And they go, oh no, they do. And they're like, no, they don't. I assure you, they do not have to walk down the hall. Like they can do whatever they want. So having something on display that shows your sensibilities for games is really, really helpful. I'm not saying it's impossible to get work without it, but I think it'll be a more difficult battle. And then it'll be more a case of, I mean, in my experience, I think that for the most part, when I've seen people that work mostly in film or linear media in general, and then they work in games, it's usually because they knew somebody. And that person was like, oh, I'm doing a game thing. Want to try it out? They're like, oh, sure, I'll do this game. So, I mean, I've got like many examples of people who are like only in music. Like they have a band, or they have a solo production, solo artist, indie label on Bandcamp kind of thing or whatever. And then they move on to make the soundtrack for a game, and it's amazing. But the thing is, they didn't get that gig cold. They got that gig because they knew the developer personally from being a college roommate or something, right? So it's much more difficult when you're going in cold to say, hey, I'm the right choice if you don't have any game content on your page. That said, let's talk about your reel in general, just in very general terms, regardless of what the games or linear content is, yeah? And hopefully that'll make sense so far. And I mean, for sure, this is a very interactive kind of like back and forth conversation kind of stream. So anything you guys, as far as questions and stuff, feel free to drop in the chat. I'm happy to talk about whatever. So first off, so yeah, 3 seconds of silence. It can't hurt to have a little bit of love put into this opening bit. Whether it is, I mean, you do have this established, the cave thing is pretty cool. Yeah, it's neat. The first thing I thought was this might be like a waveform up and down, but I think it's just a cave. I think it's just like this stalactite, right? The ceiling, C for ceiling, and stalagmite, G for ground. Yeah, you have the branding. It's cool. The black and white is fine. The monochrome, the gray scale, it's fine. The site on the whole isn't like amazing. It's just very simple. Gets the job done. It's cool. But yeah, I wish that the video had a little more love given to this. Maybe even just having the logo there rather than just the text, It's a cave clip art. Okay. All right, well, I didn't know that off the top of my head, so that's not the worst thing. Squarespace had it. Yeah, well, dig in hard. I mean, you want to brand yourself, right? Dig in hard, and perhaps even you could use that as inspiration. And I mean, that's for free. Do a waveform that looks like stalagmites and stalactites. It's up to you. But yeah, dig in hard and make your branding kind of married to the stuff on your reel also. Just show that you have this idea of what it takes to bring many parts together to make one cohesive whole. Because it may not seem like a big deal, but I think it goes a long way in terms of kind of just very passively convincing people that you know what a finished product looks like, Okay, so let's press play. Also, because it's silent, you have that brief kind of moment of like, oh, is my sound on? And so in the first second, you risk losing them, like losing the viewer as they fumble for their volume knob or something while the thing is starting. But it was like, something fades in, whatever, anything. Doesn't really matter. As long as it's nice and, it should have some level of fade, not bah! Fade it in, let them know everything's fine, and then move on to your reel. We have 1 minute and 20 I would argue that the content you have in this reel does not justify the length. I think you could do a minute max easily. And I think that only 2 things in a reel is a little bit bold in general. We've got 40 seconds roughly of each one. So, or I guess 35 or something with the bookends. So, sound effects editor, it's cool you're working. That's a big deal that you're working in this space. But it is film. So it's not quite games, but it's still you're working. So that means that you were hired for a thing, you did the job. Here's the credit. That's no small thing. So good on you. That said, this lower third is a bit lower than a lower third, I think, and it ends up competing with this kind of stuff. You know, there's like thumbnails and stuff like that that get in the way. Oh, it's like perfectly lined up. Nice. This could be a little bit higher just to stay out of the way of things, and of course, it's a finished piece, right? So I'm not fully sure like what your editing work entailed, because editing work can be sometimes just like you have a spotting sheet, and I mean I haven't worked in a legit post house, so I don't really know the workflow exactly for linear media, but as it has been explained to me, it might be something like you have a spotting sheet of content to drop in at certain parts and you make it happen kind of thing, right? So I don't know what part you played in like selection of sound. So for things like taste and just things being appropriate, like a joke is cracked or whatever. I have no idea if that was your call. So the editor, for all I know, you drag and dropped things. So it's just hard. This is a difficult piece for me. I'm not trying to like downplay the work you did, because obviously you're working, like I said, you have a credit, that's a big deal. But as far as a portfolio piece, it's hard for me to like adjudicate and then draw some kind of conclusion as far as what you did and therefore how good you are. It's just challenging. So we'll keep going. Okay, so that was, like I mentioned before, I kind of lost interest around here because I got the idea, basically. It's like I got the point, moving on. And I expected there to be more kind of separation of content, like maybe 15 seconds of something, like 15 more seconds of something else. But it was pretty long for a single clip. And by the time we got to like 25 seconds-ish, I didn't feel like I was getting any new information. And I think that's why it wasn't a voluntary thing. I think my brain just said like, okay, and like just drifted off. It's like I was facing this way, my brain just like went over here instead, you know? Oh well, moving on. So the second clip, I'm gonna turn my sidechain back on. Sidechain. All right, so second clip. So part 2, I don't know. So I didn't know what this was. Richard, I think it was Richard. No, sorry, Joseph rather, in the chat, let me know. So since I didn't know what this was, I didn't know if it was a game or if it was a film or anything. So the redesign, if you're doing redesign work and your goal is to work in games, you can make that goal plainly obvious by redesigning games in your reel. So you could put in the thing that you did, that you have credits for, if you're proud of the sound design in like, if you did sound design in Barbie Video Game Hero or whatever, throw that in there, sure, but make it very clear that your goal is to work in games. And you can do that by having a redesign of the kind of game you'd like to work on. If it was an indie game, if it was a AAA game. So if you want to work on like, Star Citizen, I mean, you have like this, you redesigned this sci-fi piece, so obviously you were taken by this work, and you said, this will be fun to work on. Sure, let's do it. So yeah, pick some Star Wars thing, some sci-fi thing, but make it obviously a game, and then that'll communicate to your viewers. Oh, okay, they have interesting games. They're working to do sound design in games to show me what their sound design might come across as in an interactive medium. You can do things like download the example projects for Wise and Unity and stuff, and start learning interactive content also in that respect, if you haven't already. And just show it. Show that you're doing that kind of work. and that although your credits show a deep understanding of linear media, that your understanding goes beyond that. You have an aptitude for interactive content also. Okay. And also you kept the titles up the entire time. Thank you. Good choice. Excellent. Also, I do like the presentation of the titles in general. They can probably be like a bit smaller, but just taste stuff, you know, just a little higher up. And then yeah, just the 2 clips. Just being 2 clips only in a reel is just really bold. I think 3 is like the absolute minimum you should have, because it's just really hard to show. I mean, we have like the goal of your reel should be to adequately communicate what you bring to the table in a minute. Just it's a teaser trailer for you, right? So with this one, and it can be difficult to do that, obviously, but if you think of yourself as many different areas of interest and expertise, it's basically on you to say, okay, well, I love sci-fi content, I love fantasy content, I want to work in AAA games, I want to work in Wise, I have interest in Unreal, like just whatever. Just take all the things that you like doing, you are good at, and you want to be doing more of, and you put them in the reel such that people have like a pretty good snapshot, like pretty good set of snapshots of what make up you, you know? So in this case, I have one snapshot that is a linear cartoon thing that you did sound effects editing on. And then I have this sci-fi redesign. Like, there is such a breadth between these 2 works that I have no idea. I mean, the fact this is a redesign tells me you probably want to be doing stuff that looks like this, but it's a total guess, right? Whereas if you had like 4 more clips of things or something, and they were all kind of sci-fi focused, and then you applied with that reel to a team doing sci-fi content, it's going to be real obvious that you're like a big sci-fi nerd and that this is what you want to be doing, right? Like this is for me, I'm doing sci-fi, I want to do sci-fi all day, every day. But if you have, just to be more extreme and arbitrary, if you have like a cartoon thing and like a casino mobile game, and you have a AAA sci-fi redesign, and then you like redesign like Celeste, like indie platformer, if you have all these things like back to back, they're so scattered that it can be difficult for an employer or a potential collaborator to roll into the scene and be like, oh, cool, like I know this will work out. Whereas if you have everything focused and you send that focus reel to somebody that is working on things that you want to work on also, they will hopefully have a very positive impression in a way of being like, oh, cool, this is like, you know, there's some synergy here, right? So hopefully that all makes sense. It's just a little bit challenging to know how to, like what kind of advice to offer when it's just the 2 things, because I'm just not sure. So definitely like just go wild in the chat. Like let me know what you want to be doing, because I have no idea. So let's watch this thing for content reasons. I can't really comment on the content for the DHX thing because like I don't know what you did. So it's basically impossible to offer an opinion. But like DHX is no slouch. They do pretty good work. And you for sure, if you're a sound effects editor, you definitely weren't like the re-recording mixer or anything like that. So you're not really responsible for how it sounded in the end. So you want to be in AAA. Okay, cool. AAA sci-fi. There you go. So my best guess was accurate. But that was a pretty deep guess, right? Like I'm going off this and the fact that you have the word video game in your credits or in your about page or services page, and that you're on Real Talk. Like I need those 3 things to glean that you probably want to work in AAA sci-fi. That was my best guess, right? So I think it should be more readily apparent that that's the case. Okay, so let's talk about content quality for this second section, because, like I said, I can only really focus here. So, my first impression is that the audio direction is a bit unfocused. When it comes to sci-fi stuff, you can be, I mean, it's fiction, right? It's science fiction. So it's kind of up to you to decide this is the palette we're going for. It can be kind of cartoonish and lasery, like classic, like doo-doo kind of stuff. Or it can be kind of more like hard military, where it just sounds like guns. Just, just explosions, basically, for gunshots. And I think that it's a bit scattered in terms of the palette you've chosen for the various sounds, and that goes for a few things. It goes for, like, let's just do like weapons, for example. There's some that sound like straight up explosion guns, like, we'll skip ahead. Like the is like pretty abrasive, prettiest in your face, and then you've got like this laser here that fired just now is like pretty. It's distant, sure. It's a little dinky, right? And then like this one, there's a laser from like here somewhere. I don't know where it came from. I saw it last time I watched through. That one right there is like really small. So like that. I mean, it's a laser firing, right? Or is it? It's coming from your gun, right? I feel like, make sure I'm even watching this thing correctly. But the weight of that, it's not entirely selling like power to me or danger. It's a little bit light. So in terms of the audio direction, it's really important to kind of establish like pre-production and say, oh, well, I'm using these references. I want it to sound like Alien, where it's like really chunky and everything's mechanical, and it's not like high sci-fi where stuff is all holographic and lasers and stuff like that, right? Or you say, I want to be like holographic and lasers and stuff, and then it sounds like that instead. So yeah, with this, I think it's just a matter of saying, like, also in terms of dimension and space, I'm not sure. I mean, it's definitely a thing where it's like, we're in space, there's no sound, right? And there's so much hand-wavy sound stuff that comes along with that. We're like, don't worry, it's fine. We're making it sound like things to make it more interesting as a media piece. Of course, yes. But like this here is pretty, it's a jet, you know, as opposed to like a little more interesting as far as sci-fi goes. It sounds a bit like, like a library built kind of like jet engine. And the thing is, if that is the direction, then that's fine. But because that's where we went with it, when you then have like as your lasers, like I would argue they don't quite fit with that decision in terms of the sound palette. That's nice. The rocks and stuff in the windshield and the movement ambience is nice. The rocks going past there is like I would say it's maybe a little bit too, I mean, like, what's making sound there? It's always fun to kind of imply movement with whooshes like that, but with a whoosh that's that pointed, it's like, whoosh, it's that fast. These are not that small, you know? These are approaching for a long time, and then they are disappearing for a long time, too, behind you. But you hear them, like, really late. That makes sense? I'm digging into nitpicking, too, because it's all we have to look at, so I'm not saying this is, like, all trash. I'm just, like, we're just talking about it a lot since we have the time. And then, like, this one here, similarly, it's like this one makes a little more sense as far as the time it takes. That makes more sense for time. I still think that the size of these things, like these things are huge. So is a little bit in terms of like frequency content and like selection of like spectral focus EQ wise. I still feel like they're a bit too airy. They're more like this. These are just massive hulking rocks that you're passing by, right? How would you communicate if the sounds? How would you communicate if the sounds in your redesign are all original sounds or a library? I mean, the thing is, I think that my opinion opinions across the industry may vary a bit on that respect. I'm not too concerned if your stuff is a library or all created. I assume it's probably a combination of the two, and that's, to me, like that's the bare minimum for sound design. Like to call it sound design, it's got to be like at least the combination thereof. If it's like you're drag and dropping, then that's no good. That's just sound effects editing, right? It's not that it's no good. It's just arguably not sound design. It's just a different job, you know? We've seen reels where people do a redesign, and during the redesign, they have a little picture-in-picture of them like recording the content that you're hearing. It's pretty cool. In that sense, it then implies like, hey, by the way, like I'm doing it. Like I'm recording stuff and putting original content into this reel. And there's Power Body Drift. There he is. So I think it's generally accepted that people's reels will have library. Totally. Yeah, I know Jeff and I are fully agreed on that point. If we get some application in some reel, we're not like, oh, it sounds like library. Occasionally, if it's like the boom hammer impact that I know very well and I hear it in the reel, I'm like, okay, well, that's like boom hammer 02. You know, it's so be aware that when you're applying to a gig, be aware of your audience, because if your audience knows, if they've been like in the game for 15 years, something like that, they might know the sounds that you're choosing from if you don't mess with them too much to make them unrecognizable. So just a heads up there, okay? Okay, so moving on a little more. So one thing also, I was mentioning dimension earlier on. This comes up a lot on Real Talk. I had a class in my audio engineering school like 10 years ago where my wonderful teacher, Sean Cole, had a series of lectures based on the elements of an engaging sound mix. And those elements are balance, panorama, frequency range, dynamics, dimension, and interest. And one of those things so dimension is all about trying to establish a really strong sense of space. And in this, I would say that's one place where you can probably focus your efforts the most. Or not, I mean, there's a bunch of places you can put your efforts in, obviously. But like, I think that's one place you could certainly focus in is having an idea of space. So having an idea of, so panning goes into that. You're doing that already, so good stuff. Like this thing goes by on the right-hand side when we pass it, or whatever it was. This guy. Oh, there he goes. Right channel. Good. It might seem obvious, but some people miss that detail. But one thing is that I feel like I don't really have an idea of, like while watching this, it's not immediately apparent to me where every sound is coming from. And I think that's partially due to the fact that things far away sound the same when they're near, or sound similar when they're near. So there's like I don't know what it is, like a missile thing, or I don't know what this guy's firing, but it's like a dun 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 dun. It's right there, yeah. So it's very far away. It's like dun 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 dun. That one. I mean, it's again, in that case, and we're like twice as close, but it sounds the same. And then yeah, so just like one small detail, but yeah, I think that it's just it's kind of on you to decide, like, does this thing sound different? Is it quieter? Is it more rolled off on the highs? Is it just anything, right? Whatever is most appropriate for that thing when it's farther away. Yeah, and the weight of stuff is the biggest thing, I think. Just having a little more frequency focus in your bass to make things sound more powerful and more dangerous. Like this at the very end. So what is happening right now? Like in this video? So we're I can do this, right? There we go. We just smash through it. So did we actually just crash into this thing? Are we a battering ram? Are we like burning a hole and flying through the hole we're burning? Is that the idea? I don't fully get what's happening in this short film. Anyways, Joey Goddard, hey buddy. Recording effects is different talent than using library sounds. You'll need to be good at both. Yeah, sure. There you go. And like this movement here is really cool. This like into the like retracting into the main system, I don't know what you call that, main body of the ship, I guess. But like that, right? I just understand what's happening. I think we're flying through a hole we're burning, but it's like boom. It sounds kind of tinny and light. Joey isn't hearing or feeling the ship we're flying. This like impact, like boom. It doesn't sound heavy to me. So the idea that this thing is like flying through a ship is just hard for me to believe, given what it sounds like. And like I'm checking for an EQ like on my master, just make sure I'm not fooling myself. And this is your design, but like. This is there like a machine gun? I just realized right now. So this machine gun it's on us, right? Like this is our gun firing, the deka deka deka. Cause it's like it's really pretty quiet for where we are, compared to where it's happening. Like we're on the gun, you know, but the laser's almost louder and it's farther away. So just the dimension thing, just creating space by balancing your sound elements according to how loud they probably would be, and more importantly, this is kind of like leveling up even further yet. It's really important to think about the story being told, and then focus the mix on whatever's the most important thing to the listener at that point in time. You think the gun is shooting from the ship we're attacking? Okay, perhaps I'm totally wrong then. Let's see here. Okay, so we're not shooting this gun. I don't know, man. Is it? Are you sure? Because like this thing is shooting at us, and it's still firing. We're inside the ship almost, right? Isn't it? We get here, and it's firing like there. Like the same cone is happening. So I don't know. I just don't know. I think that this is maybe a challenging piece to design in the first place, and that maybe having something with a little more focus from moment to moment might be easier. Jeff wants some pre-life, but we're hitting the ship. Yeah. That's where the storytelling aspect comes in. Also, by the way, Luke, I have to piece for a bit early tonight. Thank you, everyone, and Kevin, and thanks, James, for sharing your stuff. Cheers, Luke. See you next time, man. Yeah, so Jeff's talking about pre-life. So pre-life is like another level up yet. It comes along with designing stuff off screen also. It's like designing things before you get to them and before you see them. It's kind of both those things. So in this case, it's a really common thing for up-and-comers in audio, post and games to design what you see and nothing further. And that's the bare minimum generally, and that there's usually room to like put more stuff in that's just more interesting yet. Actually, Jeff, I'm thinking back to your Dead Space redesign, dude. Jeff designed a Dead Space trailer, did a redesign of it in like 2009 or something, like a long time ago, just for fun. And yeah, and put it on the game audio. I won't show it. It's fine. He put it on like some I think maybe on r/game audio. It's like somewhere to say like, hey, look, this thing I made, right? And I think that was when what's his name? He was working at Starbreeze. Tito, whatever his name is, Jonas or Jonas or something else like that. He came back and was like, do pre-life. And then we both, Tito, we both recall this very, very distinctly. Learn about pre-life. There's a black moment where like it all goes black, and it's like pre-launch, and the character gets like launched out of this ship and is like flying towards their destination. And they're like, put more things in that black space. You don't see anything, but we should hear it for sure. So yeah, that's why Jeff is championing pre-life. Big fan, definitely. We've been employing pre-life for a long time in our careers. Yeah, so having a little more of like a, oh no, what's gonna happen? And kaboom. I know some folks in chat in past weeks have mentioned things like, oh, I wish there was more cinematic content in redesigns where it's not just the sounds of the things happening, of the action. And really things like this stuff flying past you, like that in reality wouldn't make any sound. You're just flying past a thing, right? Like your ship is the one making the noise. But for the sake of consumer media, we go because it helps sell the action, right? So why not sell more action before the ship, like, oh no, and it's like plowing through this thing, right? So let's listen to the plow, actually. Let's go. Mr. Plow, let's go. So did you hit something at the end? I'm just not sure what happens here. Like, if it's plowing through this thing, this should be extremely cacophonous compared to everything prior. We're flying through empty space, and it's very quiet. The sound of the ship, right? And now we're plowing. So we should hear, and there's stuff scraping past us. Like our ship would be like, scraping the metal and like tearing through stuff. There is some movement in the debris and stuff. It is louder, but I think you have a lot more room to go in that respect. Like scraping and piercing kind of metal stuff. It's yeah, you have room for sure. I've said before on Real Talk too that I would really encourage you. We're talking about like, what the heck was it? Footsteps with, I'm awful. I've forgotten who the heck it was. We were talking about footsteps on, was it Alex's? I think it was Alex's reel. But there was like the Big Daddy redesign from BioShock, and he's walking through like on some tiled stuff and some concrete and some puddles and then some metal stairs, and it was the sound, the differentiation between the different surfaces was like very measured, almost unnoticeable. He did the work, so he can hear it. Of course, he knows he did it, so he can hear the differences. But as a person going in for the first time, it wasn't very apparent. So I recommended that he push it like way, way, way out there, make it crazy different. And then if it's stupid and it's too much, then at least we know like to pull it back. But if you just inch forwards, it can be hard to know how far you must inch until you've hit where it should be. Whereas if you go like crazy, go really far, then you know it's like in the middle somewhere, right? So you can like come back and land where you should. So I would encourage you to go crazy with this, make it crazy loud. Because yeah, I mean, just compare this action to this action. Like nothing's happening right now, right? And then it's insane when you're inside this thing. And I think the difference in audio from here to here doesn't quite sell the actual like difference between those two moments in the story. Dale, gotta go. Catch it later. All right, cheers, pal. Thanks, Kevin, and the Goblin Cave. All right. It's probably enough there. I mean, yeah, James, like, let me know if you have any questions about that stuff, of course. I think that this is a really strong start. As far as redesigns go, it's like you put a lot of work into this, obviously. I know how much work redesigns are, because you start with nothing and you build it all up. You're like, wow, it's like so full now and there's so much sound, and you're correct. But I think that some more care could be given in terms of further marrying all the types of sound you're looking at, and helping to tell the story more than just covering, like, putting sounds to the action, helping to sculpt the presentation of those sounds to further support the actual storyline of what's happening. So, we'll back off here. So I think that we can probably call it there on your stuff. As far as distinction goes, I'm going to look at my criteria again. Yeah, presentation. I mentioned the portfolio. Yeah, so just quick note. I kind of skipped over this, but if you did have your reel on the front page on home, which I think is worthwhile, and then putting the testimonial on, I don't know, like services, right? There's room there, put it right here. Then I think portfolio would then be a great place to put like information about the games, things you're working on, or put in things like, if you make a narrated video of Unity implementation, or of talking about recording some stuff for a redesign you did, or whatever, just stuff that further helps us understand who you are and what you're working on and why we should care. Not to say brutally, but I mean, that's the point of your entire page, is like, hey, I exist, take notice, right? That's what we're all trying to do. So yeah, it's just, I think portfolio should have a little more information than just a video. And video wise, make it a minute. I think it's worthwhile. It's tough to justify anything more than a minute. And just little tweaks, lower thirds being a little higher, and have some more content, obviously, that sells the fact that you want to work in games. And yeah, it's kind of the gist. I mean, we went over plenty of the fact that you're so film heavy, so it's really on you to further convince the visitors to your page that you are serious about games. That's your challenge. Okay, so as far as distinction goes, I think as far as games goes, being hired in games, you're not quite standing out quite yet. I think a lot of work is yet to be done to kind of have more game content, and yeah, just to make it so you're a trustworthy hire for someone coming in cold. I had some of that kind of stuff, but I thought it felt a bit unfocused. I thought I was leaning on them instead of having a proper reel. Leaning on them. That kind of stuff. You're talking about like the narrated implementation stuff, or like videos of you doing your thing? I mean, it can't hurt unless it's super weird or something. It's like a very weird presentation. It could hurt, I guess, but I think it's a good thing to have. I love seeing that stuff. If I see a good reel and then they have like an 8-minute video of them talking about whys, like I will watch it, Totally. Yeah, well, James, feel free to follow up if you want to like throw me a video or two and say, hey, what do you think of these things? I'd be happy to let you know. But for the time being, I'm going to call it right there on your stuff. Thanks, buddy. And I think from right there, I'm going to drop into some just random game audio critique evaluation thread stuff that I pulled up. And we'll just see what the world's up to, basically. And if anyone wants to submit to Real Talk, you can do so through Twitter down there, just at PowerUpAudio or at RegMK. That's me personally, or the studio. And if you're not on Twitter, you can go to the website and just use our inquiry form there on the contact page, and that works too. Okay, so let's have a look at. Feels like you're back in school again. Well, I mean, I know people who have been in film audio for like 10 years. And have just a laundry list of credits. I mean, you're doing great too. You have a ton already, right? Like, this is no small list, dude. So, yeah, there's certainly a learning curve that comes along with moving into a parallel industry, naturally. Okay, Messenger. Yeah, you're awesome. We know. Let's look at this new one from the most recent. There is a post for like an evaluation post from a couple days ago, but it's empty, so screw it. Anton Shearer would love your thoughts on this quick redesign I made for footage from Hyperlight Drifter. Great. Let's do. Please? Hello? There we go. Sharar. There it is. What's in the background? That's cool. Is that just... That looks like Hyperlight. Is this Hyperlight in the background? That's like the... Yeah, it's the dude. Nice. All right. Well, mock-up sound design for Hyperlight. Showcasing some of my recording and sound design skills. There you go, man. Let's see if it is apparent. Credits. Wait, what? Credits. Video game. Credits, sound designer, composer, mix and master. Like of the redesign? Okay. Date November. This is all totally extraneous information. This stuff doesn't need to be here, Anton. You can kill it off. We know it's a mock-up. We know you did it. Let's go. Wolves. Okay. Rage Squid. Holy. What's up, buddy? Is that a Rosie? Might be Rosie. Or Rule? I don't know. I'm not sure who controls that channel right now. Or who would be logged in. That's the developers of Descenders and Action Hank we worked with back in the day. Rosie, what's up? I didn't know you were aching to catch one of these, but here we go. Okay, this is, hey Tony, this is pretty cool. It's really 2D is one thing. Really 2D. Like the sound, like of the swing and the, you know, the attacks. And that dash also. Check this dash. It's like, it's wide. It's cool. It's cool sound, but it's very wide. And that might be a bit bold in terms of ear fatigue because you're dashing a lot in this game. Was that a heal right there? That moment? I think so. Yeah, seems so. Heal was silent. It's an important moment to hear. Speaking of pre-life, we want to have some sound. Excuse me. Again, thinking about what's most important to the player from moment to moment is really important for sound design. We are supporting the game design, right? So things like hearing the healing, making sure the player knows it happened, because they may press the button and then look elsewhere to see where the enemies are and make sure they're not going to be in harm's way. They might not see the visual, so they got to hear the heal take root. Boom, there it was. And then this guy attacking, or this guy. He began, see that? He got going and then failed to finish it off. We should hear the get going. Like right now. Should have heard that. And then that was cool, nice. There's no UI sound there, that's too bad. It's a pretty cool little visual we could be playing with a bit, you know? Just something subtle. I don't hate the palette of the sword swings or the attacks, but like, they're just a little bit repetitive because they're so tonal. It's like every time. Yeah, and also like this impact. Dude, you gotta hear that. It's cool. Like overall, the sound that's here is like pretty cool. It just needs more coverage yet to be fully informative of what's happening in the gameplay. So cool, Anton. Cool. Nice work. Just needs some more love and some more thought given into what's important to the player from moment to moment to make sure those things are heard and they're informing what their actions might be. Okay, we looked at these last week, right? This is that piece I wrote portfolio piece. This is like the Persona thing, right? Or Saints Row, sorry. Yeah, that was crazy. Close. Next up, claps. Thank you, James. Vardus. Hey, was looking for advice on my portfolio. Just graduated from uni in music technology and want to find some work doing game sound, but not sure the best way to show my work. Well, there's a little stream called Real Talk. Sound for a Scene, GitHub. I guess LinkedIn goes hand in hand? I mean, kinda. I don't think LinkedIn goes that hand in hand with the game audio page. Curtis Falkingham, Sound for a Scene. Sound designer, game audio editor. Okay. Portfolio, about, contact. This is a pretty basic looking page, obviously. It's not the worst thing in the world. I don't mind minimalism. We're on the portfolio right now? Is that where we are? Yes, we're already there. About. There he is. And very code focused. Cool. What am I looking at though? Oh, these are games. Cool. I did not at all get like I'm making games from this tagline at the top, man. But sick. I mean, these look fun. Let's check it out. What's happening here? Journey away, short game, run game. We go full? Let's go full. A? I don't have A, I have Z and X. Is that good? This isn't gonna work, is it? It's gonna see my controller? How did it know that? There's no way. Space? Control? Up? Left, right, west? I'm pressing the letter A also. A and B. Is this a video of a game? I don't know. I'm pressing all buttons and nothing is happening. So, I don't know. I'm sad, actually. Did it need to, like, know it? I have a controller plugged in now. It doesn't need to, like, be on before it's initialized? Rose Garden. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's happening here. I wish I did. Left control, left option. I did that too. Oh, was it doing things I just didn't realize? Left control, left option. Let's try it one more time. I can't tell if I'm doing things. Adds more birds? Increase birds and speed. Is it? Okay, no idea. Moving on. You fell for it. Jeez, I don't know. Well, maybe it's not a real game. Maybe it's just some kind of other commentary on. I don't know. Press number keys 1 to 9 to switch planet. Let's go. Like I love this stuff. Oh, I can't. I'm gonna download it though. I would like video content of like what these things are. That'd be nice. Non-linear. Here's some video content. Let's go. Sweet. I'm super into this. Cool, man. Yeah, very cool. And various things. Yeah, I mean, great. Super cool. I think Portfolio is the page we're already on. I mean, Journey sounded cool. Journey Away sounded pretty cool. I wish I knew more about what's happening, though. But, yeah, I don't know. What were you asking again? You said looking for advice in Portfolio. I think having a reel that's like, here's the gist of things I've worked on is a good step, because it's like, here's a minute. If all you have is a minute, here's everything you need to know about like the gist of what my deal is, you know? Whereas this, it's a big page of stuff. And I mean, you just saw me go through it right now, and that's what I saw. So if there's things that I didn't see that you wish I had, then that's what a reel can solve. It can just say, here is the gist. Right? And if I see something in there, I'm like, that is so cool, I want to see more, then yeah, we have this page, we can go see more, right? Or go play the game for ourselves, whatever. So yeah, super cool. I'm into it. Nice work. And like the LinkedIn thing, I don't know. I mean, I don't think LinkedIn's that important, but maybe that's just me. Who knows? Okay, we got hi guys, fake steez. Recently finished a quick 1-minute demo reel with some of my favorite game trailers I've seen. I'd be happy to trade feedback. Happy to trade feedback. Okay. Excuse me. Soundwave loved your sounds, but is new in the industry. See, this is why. This kind of thing is why Real Talk exists, because that's very common. That the feedback in threads like this, and not like it's fully invalid. It's just that oftentimes, and I'm not even gonna read this one, like, sounds pretty cool. This is a very common piece of feedback in like r/game audio in these threads, and it's like by default that's what people say, even if there's work to do. So we'll see. I mean, maybe it is awesome. Maybe it is indeed pretty cool. Let's have a look. I'm an 18. Lied to us. The watermark's interesting. I've never seen that before. That's not bad. Pretty cool. It is indeed pretty cool. Lots of birds. Yeah, it feels a little bit scattered though. It's like very chaotic. Whoa, is it done? Jeez, okay. So, man, that was pretty cool actually. I like the flow a lot. Tony. Wave Pusher. Tony, nice work, pal. I think this is, it's interesting. Like the flow of it. So one thing that a lot of reels kind of fail on is having interesting flow, where I'm curious to keep watching. Because there were some parts where I was like, what is going on? But I'm still like interested and I'm engaged. So that's probably a good thing. The background pad, I usually push for no music in sound reels. That pad's so unobtrusive though, I'm kind of okay with it, honestly. It's interesting. And this offered to be this cohesive kind of tying element across everything. I don't know. I think that might be, you might get varied opinions on the presence of that pad. Some people might be like, get that basically music out of my sound reel, but So here's the thing: the fade in of the ambience, it felt like there was incongruence with what we were seeing and what we were hearing sometimes, and it felt a bit like it was intentional sometimes, but other times it did not feel intentional. So, and also the hard stop finish makes me think it was not intentional, because this is pretty brutal. But for example, the fade in into this room, sure, I think you could J-cut that one, because it's like we're faded to black almost. J-cut being like hear audio before you see visual. Like right now. And then we still hear it like past that point, way past that point. So we waited until we saw it, until it started fading in, and then we fade out. Still like 2 seconds, we still hear it, so. And no bird flap, it's too bad. Because you hear the Foley there, and it sounds good. That bird's kind of 2D. It's a little bit just anywhere, rather than being here. I'm just gonna go through a nitpick. This is what we're doing right now. So it's a bit kind of localized. There should be that 2D kind of like, oh, it's like everywhere, it's a big thing, but I think that you need the source also. And there also, we have this movement, and then the sound starts, like it's a hard start. It's not even like it's fading in. When this clip starts, we're already in motion. It's already happening. But the sound of like the shh of the ground starts like at the ding kind of thing, right? So that's a little strange, feels loose. The jump, I expected to hear the shh stop at this point right here, but it keeps going. And this I wanted to hear also. This like and just stops hard, and that's what I was saying. It's kind of like chaotic, interesting content. So like that choice is so unique to stop, like to cut at that moment in time. It's so unique that I'm like, what is happening? I want to keep watching, which is a very strange thing. Like this is a minute 18. I watched the whole thing and didn't feel like I was being, you know, like my time was being wasted. So there's that. I don't know. I think, Joey, that's the moment you wanted to hear, right? This big thing. That's my guess. Like it sounds like there was a sound there that you just didn't let us hear. It just stops. Is this like a what are you riding? I don't know what game this is. It's a spear? Is it hovering? Like that sound there, that was strangely localized compared to everything else. But this thing is massive. Like compared to the hawk and like these just before this. This one's like very big, makes sense. And then like just like very tiny right in front of us. With almost no reverb, despite how huge it is. So it seems a bit incongruent in terms of like the various creatures and what they sound like. So sounds cool. The flaps are a bit unfortunate. They're like a little bit noisy. And like right in front of our face, like again 2D, right? Whereas they probably aren't that important to the player to hear. They should hear something, but not, I don't think that loud. That seems a bit strange. Yeah, Tony, I was thinking about the shh if you aren't on the terrain, but like I don't know, I can deal with that. It's kind of like a snowboard thing. And again, it seems like it starts late. Is it just me? Does it sound like offset? I don't know. That's pretty high frequency focused. Careful not to be too piercing. It's a little bit like, oof, little bit of that. So careful there. And I love like this kind of content in a reel. I love it. Just the smallest nuance. Super cool. But then that pop. That pop's a bad look. Tony, right? Tony, fade your stuff, man. Really important. That pop, it just speaks to an absence of attention to detail. Whether that absence is the case or not for you personally, that's what it tells people. So be careful of your detail work here and there, okay? Overall, super cool. Actually pretty cool. So, turns out my brief rant about Soundwave was unfounded, and it was in fact pretty cool. Good job. And I think I might do one more. It's like 5:32. Sure, let's do one more last one, and we'll call her right there. Yes? Okay. Hello. D-Punch for lunch. All right. I just finished a rework of part of a trailer and would appreciate any feedback. Thanks. See it here. Soundwave. Found it cool. Okay, well, it might be cool. It's very possible. All right, let's go. Well, let's go full screen. This is a crazy start so far. Daniel, this is our, look at this, lower third nonsense. It's being just stomped on by YouTube's UI. Careful, Daniel. It was pretty cool, but it's so empty now. Man, good start. Yeah, this is a classic example of like 30% designed, if that. Actually, this needs a lot more work. The opening 5 seconds are pretty sick, pretty cool. Like, that's a big moment into the freeze, like this, and the ice too. It's good. And then it's like funny too. Oh, like comedy. It's cute. But then this splash worried me when it hit. I was like, whoa, this is pretty good actually. And then the splash was a little bit inaccurate. Water is hard. Water is difficult to design because it's so nuanced. And this here is not a splash. It's like a push, you know? And this, to me, if I close my eyes, that in no way told me this is a large body flying through water and pushing out of the way at high speed with a great deal of force. So with great deal of force, you can put in more low frequency content. This is Daniel Barboza. Daniel, put in more low frequency content, so it's like you have that in there also. It's like you know, a heavy body pushing the water, and just more volume, more activity in general. Yeah, this is a little bit light for what we're seeing. And this also, we smack into this like pillar and it shatters. We didn't really hear that too much. Oh yeah, it's a little like statue thing in the middle of a fountain. It looks like it's a fountain. My bad. Boom! Explodes. Look at that. Didn't really hear it. And then this is a great example of pre-life that Jeff was talking about. This character comes from off screen, and this is pretty egregious actually. We don't even really hear him on screen. But it's kind of the first thing we hear. Like this running, we can definitely begin to hear the running of this character from right channel before we see them, as a bit of pre-life to introduce the character, to introduce this part of the story, because this was the storyline. The storyline was guy is hit, flies into water, smashes into fountain, which then shatters. But that is now the end of that storyline. Now this storyline is this new character. So we are going to introduce that character with a tap, 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 running up, running across, doing a jump and a flip, have some fully whooshing and stuff of the clothing. And then... yeah, that should be way higher in the mix, yo. Because the thing is, this is the only thing that matters now. For this moment in the story, for this 1 second, or 2 seconds-ish, this is all that matters in the story. Bring that way out front. Make it really, really detailed in design. Bring it much more forward in the mix. That landing could be more detailed, more designed also. Yeah, so it's just, there's a lot of broad strokes here as far as Foley and such. The main points are hit, but there's like very little detail work. The this character, walking, wouldn't just sound like there's more to it, like there's like of like the ice, you know, so forth hitting the ground. There's a little bit of like kind of tinkling and stuff. A little bit. But the is really unlocalized. It's kind of left. Yeah, just make sure that you're thinking of like all the sounds at play here. This as well, turning around. Like this movement, she's moving more than that, you know? She's moving enough that she'd be making more noise than just like a few footsteps. And you barely even hear the footsteps, honestly. Like there's a lot more work to do here in terms of Foley, a whole lot. This entire piece is all about character movement, and there's not a whole lot of detail being put into that movement to help sell it. Further, this is a bit higher level to talk about, but I would encourage you to think about differentiating the kinds of whooshes you're using based upon who or what that whoosh is coming from. So we have this character here. I don't know Smite at all, I'm sorry. But this character is... right? There's like the staff whooshes and a bit of body maybe also. And then this character comes across in the cartwheel, and it's kind of the same whoosh, despite it being a wooden or maybe metal staff first. And if I had my eyes closed, I wouldn't know those were different things producing those whooshes. So really important to consider that too, in terms of helping to aid the storyline. You can have different whooshes in terms of frequency focus, so like have like a or like a or whatever, right? Just something. There's like whooshes are so varied in their tonality and frequency focus and duration and intensity and all these things. It's really important to think about helping to support the story in terms of those various whooshes. Okay. That was cool. That impact is nice. Yo, good like panning too. You're panning really, really great, Daniel. Like it lands, goes and moves to the left immediately. Probably go even bigger yet, honestly. It seems like it's a bit more magical than just it's a ice mallet, but or whatever you've noticed. I clearly don't know Smite at all. There's so much movement here we're not really hearing. All right, well, cool. But yeah, it needs a lot more work. Danny Barboza, cool. Good stuff though. Great start, really good start. Just keep going, basically. Like the work you've done, do it like 2 more times, basically, and then you'll be in a great place. Okay, great. That's probably good to call it right there. I'm gonna crank Messenger again because it's so good. It's gonna yell at me though. It's gonna say, "Hey, buy the damn album, Kevin." I will. I promise. I have actually bought it. It's already done. Let's listen to this one. So good. All right. Thanks a lot. Like I said, if you want to submit to Power Up Audio's stream Real Talk, feel free to submit down there at on Twitter or on our website on our contact inquiry form, and we'll be happy to slot you in. All right. So otherwise, next week I believe we have Lawrence Steele and Aaron Holmes. It seems so. So I guess I'll see you all then. All right. Thanks a lot. Later.